I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the fucking hours it takes to get some power. Don't be fucking sour, take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder. And fuck all the doubters, they're just fucking downers.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I swear to
here
God,
he is,
they all
the
let
man
me
himself,
down.
Tony Danger,
I always
on
fought
the
just to
Tony
wear the
Podcast.
crown. I'm pissed off at these fucking
Enjoy the video,
clowns
folks.
who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.
Hey, what's up everybody, it's Tony Danger 33 here today and welcome to the Tony World Podcast. So, I think today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favorite video games of all time and top 10 worst video games of all time. So I'll start with the top 10 of my favorite video games. So I think number one will probably have to be, I think this is difficult actually. There's so many games that I played. I would probably say Batman Arkham Asylum. So the reason why I say Batman Arkham Asylum is because of the fact that I played it on Xbox 360 a few years ago, and then I played it on a remastered version of it. And the remastered version was so much better because of the fact that you could actually see a lot of the setting in the game, and there was a lot. It was a good game because it had Kevin Conroy in it, it had Mark Hamill, it had all the big top names that voice actors that were in it. So yeah, that's one of the games that actually got me hooked onto the Batman franchise. So that's why I would say Arkham Asylum is my number one. So number two of my favorites. So I think number two I would probably go for. I think I would probably go for Mario Kart Wii on the Nintendo Wii. So the reason why I'd go for Mario Kart Wii was because it was one of the most popular games in 2008, and because when I was younger, I basically had received the console along with the game itself, and it was one of my favorite games around 2008. And all I'm going to say is Mario Kart Wii was one of the games that defined the genre itself from Nintendo. You think about it nowadays, Nintendo have Mario Kart 8 where you can do tricks and you can fly off a kite and land and, go off walls and it's gravity stuff and all that bollocks. So Mario Kart Wii will be my number two spot. So number three of my favorite video games of all time. So I'm going to probably say, what was it, number three? Was it number three I was on? Yeah, I'm not on number three. So this one, I think some people are going to not be happy with, but this is my opinion about my favorite games that I like. I'm going to probably have to say Batman Arkham Origins. I know the game was kind of hated when it came out, but I played it a few years later. And all I'm going to say is the fact that when I played it, there was a lot of compared to the difference between Arkham Asylum and Arkham Origins, is the fact that Arkham Origins, there was quite a lot of side missions, and I mean quite a lot. And I kind of enjoyed it. I kind of enjoyed Batman Arkham Origins, so it was quite a good game for me. So that's the reason why it's at my number three spot. So my number 4, I would probably have to say number 4. This is a difficult one actually. Number 4. But my number 4 favorite game of all time. Um, I would probably say. I think I remember a game. I was at my friend's house a few years ago. I would probably have to say Soul Calibur 4. So the reason why I say Soul Calibur 4 is it had Yoda, Darth Vader, Starkiller, and it was a very interesting game because the fact that when I played it with my friend, I actually beat him at it because the fact that we both played as Yoda to see who was the better Yoda, and I won the fight. So it was quite a good game actually, in my honest opinion. So that's the reason why I chose Soul Calibur 4 as my, fourth favorite game of all time, and it is on Xbox 360. So, my number 5 favourite game of all time. I would probably have to say. Oh, this is a toughie. Number 5, my favourite game, my 5th favourite game of all time. I would probably have to say the London 2012, the 2012 game that Sega released on the Xbox 360, that combined with Kinect. So, the reason why I chose London 2012 video game, that's the video game on the Xbox 360, was because of the fact I had friends coming over from America in 2012, and the game was kind of interesting because I got to play with my best mate who's from the States. So it was quite fun because the fact that we played this game called Archery, and it was like a mini game, so you just had to shoot the bow and you had to aim at the right target, and you had the wind and stuff like that hitting. So there was quite a few interesting things in that game. So number 5 is London 2012, the video game. So number 6. Number 6. I would probably say number 6. I'd probably say. I'd probably say Mario and Sonic at the Winter Games on the Mario Sonic at the Winter Games on the DS. So the reason why I've chose Mario and Sonic at the Winter Games on the DS is because the fact that when I was younger, I liked this. There was a story mode in the game, so it was quite interesting because you also, after you completed the game, you could play side missions and mini games and stuff like that. All I'm going to say is it wasn't easy to play because you had to full on concentrate on what you were aiming for. So Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games is my number 6. So number 7, my favourite game of all time. So this is my number 7 game of all time. Number 7. I don't know. Number 7. I'll think of something in a minute, guys. I'm just trying to confine what I'm trying to say. So number 7, favourite game of all time. I'd probably say Virtual Tennis 3 for the Xbox 360. So Virtual Tennis 3 for the Xbox 360. The reason why I chose that one was because it has a good story mode, and it has mini games where you can level up your character, you can boost your character up on the male and female career mode. All I'm going to say is Virtual Tennis 3 was one of the best games that I ever played because of the fact that I grew up playing it because my granddad had owned the game. So it interested me quite a lot. So yeah, that would be Virtual Tennis 3 would be my third, but no, it would be my 7th favourite game of all time. So number 8, my 8th favourite game of all time. So I would say number 8, I would probably say Sonic Generations. Sonic Generations. So it's for the 360, but it came out on other consoles as well. So the reason why I said Sonic Generations for the 360 was because I would say because the fact that you could change the music, you could play all sorts of mini games, you could play the old classic and the 1999 Sega Mega Drive game, and all I'm going to say is some of the levels in Sonic Generations was not easy, and plus the fact it was an anniversary game as well, so it was quite a good game, but there were some hiccups in my opinion. But in my opinion, it was one of my favourite games that I liked playing. So Sonic Generations is my 8th favourite game. So number 9, my ninth favorite game of all time. Um, I would probably I don't know, number 9. So my ninth favorite game of all time. Um, ninth favorite game of all time. I'll get it in the end, guys. This is a difficult one, actually. Number 9. Um, number nine. I would probably say, I'll probably say number 9 would be Crash Bandicoot, the remastered version on the Xbox One. So the reason why I say Crash Bandicoot, the remaster, is because of the fact that the levels are more difficult and they're more extreme, and the fact that with Crash Bandicoot you got to see it in a HD version with 4K quality on a new console. So I would say Crash Bandicoot, the remastered version of Crash Bandicoot, would be my number 9. So my number 10. So this is my 10th favorite game of all time. So my 10th favorite game of all time, I would probably um 10th favorite game of all time. I would probably say Super Smash Brothers on the 3DS as my number 10. So the reason why I say Super Smash Brothers on 3DS is because the fact that I had bought a 3DS when I went on holiday, and I bought Super Smash Bros. And on 3DS. And all I'm going to say is I played a lot of online. My first time I played online, I remember I was playing as Little Mac and I was fighting someone who was playing as Kirby. And I actually have the highlights on my DS. So it was actually quite. It was neck and neck. Every hit, every punch, and no one could get a single hit off each other. So it was basically attack, dodging, attack, dodging. We got a few hits in on each other, but then when the time went out, Kirby had smacked me out of the ring, and the time had just run out, and then it ended in sudden death. And yours truly actually won that match online. So it was my first online match that I did, and I won, and it was the most exhilarating thing in the world. So Super Smash Bros. On 3DS is my 10th favorite game of all time. So the top 10 worst games of all time that I've played. So I would say number 1 would probably be Gotham Knights. So the reason why I say Gotham Knights would be my number 1 worst game of all time was because the fact, if you guys have seen my Gotham Knight recording, I was so frustrated during the recordings. It was so hard to get the recordings up and out because the fact that some of the because the thing is, there was no counter button. All you could do was dodge, and basically you had heavy attacks and light attacks. And the game was so hard because you couldn't. If you were walking around in stealth mode, you basically, if you got caught, you had to fight them all off, and then you would lose a. I think it was like a side objective that you had, and it was so frustrating. So yeah, so Gotham Knights is my number 1 worst game of all time. So I would say number 2. So my second worst game of all time would probably be Sonic Unleash. So a few years ago, I received Sonic Unleash on the Nintendo Wii. So the Nintendo Wii. So I played it on the Nintendo Wii, and it was terrible. The graphics were so terrible. The control scheme was absolutely crap. Some of the levels were too difficult. You couldn't switch sides. It was literally right at the end of the final end of the game, which I found difficult, and I was so frustrated. I actually stopped playing it for over a year because of how frustrated it made me feel. So I would say that would be my second worst. Sonic Unleashed is number 2 for worst game of all time, in my honest opinion. So, number 3 of worst game of all time. So, I would probably. This is a difficult one, actually. Number 3, worst game of all time. Hmm. I think I've got it now. I am going to say Mario Golf Tour on the 3DS. So the reason why I say Mario Golf Tour on the 3DS is because the fact that the control scheme is really weird on the 3DS, and it's quite hard to swing the bat and trying to aim at the right areas on the course. So Super Mario Golf Tour on 3DS is my number 3 worst game of all time. So number 4 worst game of all time on video game of all time that I've played. Um, thinking. I would probably have to say I'll probably have to say WWE 2K18. The reason why I say WWE 2K18 is because the fact that I found it quite boring. It was like the main menu was so boring, and it just didn't interest me at all. I think I played the My Rise story for like a couple of days, and then I stopped playing it because it was so boring. So basically, WWE 2K18 will be at number 4 of worst game of all time. So number 5 worst game of all time. So number five. Worst game of all time. Worst game of all time. Video game of all time. I would probably say FIFA 14 on the Xbox 360. So the reason why I say FIFA 14 is because of the fact that a lot of the time when I was playing FIFA 14, the players' feet wouldn't be on the ground in the game, and there was a lot of glitches that I found, and I used to get kicked out. My game used to freeze, and it would kick me out, and it would shut down. So FIFA 14 would be number 5, worst game of all time, in my honest opinion. So number 6, the 6th worst game of all time. So, number 6. Played so many video games, it's hard to remember them all. So, number 6 worst game of all time. Let me think. Da, 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 I'll probably say Virtual Tennis 2009 on the Nintendo Wii. So the reason why I say Virtual Tennis 2009 on the Nintendo Wii is because I can tell you this, I did enjoy the game at first, but it was quite hard to play it because you had to move your hands and the motion wasn't working, and it was like it was so annoying and frustrating to try and figure out. So yeah, so Virtual Tennis 2009 is my number 6 in the worst games of all time, in my honest opinion. So number 7 of worst games of all time, in my honest opinion. Probably. Let me think. I would probably have to say Jumanji. I'd say the Jumanji, the video game, at number 7. So the reason why I say that is because the fact that it wasn't very interesting. You had the character models of the characters, but not the voice actors who were in the film. So it was a very disappointing game, in my honest opinion. And Jumanji, the video game, is dubbed top 7 worst video games of all time. So number 8 worst games of all time that I played. Let me think. Quite a difficult one. This is a difficult one. This is a real difficult one. Number 8, sorry. Okay, so uh, okay, so this is going to be hard to figure out. Number 8, worst video games of all time. Um, I would probably say New Super Mario Brothers on the Wii, on the Nintendo Wii, so as number 8 of worst games of all time. The reason why I say that is because I can say is the game was, like I said in my on my other top, it was good at first, but then it just got really hard to like jump and because you were holding the controller sideways and you were trying to get to new levels and all the items were quite difficult. And then you had Koopa Troopers, you had Bowser, it was so difficult to play, in my honest opinion. And Super Mario Brothers for the Nintendo Wii is number 8 of worst games of all time, in my honest opinion. So number 9 worst games of all time. This is a tough one now. This is a tough one. Hmm. Um, I would probably have to say Disney Infinity 1.0, so the original, the first Disney Infinity, the number worst games of all time. It was on the Nintendo Wii, I would say. The reason why I dubbed it that as number 9 is because when I played it on the Nintendo Wii for the first time, the graphics was so terrible on the Nintendo Wii, and then when I saw it on other consoles, it looked better. I found the game quite difficult to play because you were playing all these like side missions, and then you had to go back to a base where you built buildings, and then you had to train your character, and I was sitting there thinking, why? It was just so annoying. So Disney Infinity 1.0 is dubbed my number 9 worst game of all time. Number 10 worst game of all time. This is now a difficult one. Okay. Okay. So I would say number 10 would be DC. I would say DC superhero, no, Marvel superheroes. Sorry, on Xbox 360. So the reason why I say that's the worst game of all time, number 10, is because like the story was going on for quite a while, and the characters are not easy to unlock, in my honest opinion. Because the fact that you're spending hours and hours of your wasting your time trying to play the game and trying to make sure that you know unlock all the characters. So that would be so Marvel superheroes is my top number 10 worst game of all time. And by the way, I would like to make this perfectly clear at the as I'm finishing this off. This is my honest opinion. You don't have to like it, you don't have to hate it. It's just my opinion of what games I don't like and do like. So, this concludes today's podcast today. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you want to see more. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So, hope you guys have enjoyed the Tony World podcast, and I hope to see you more for more podcast episodes. So, hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye!